2024 has been a rather interesting year for space games. Long-awaited darlings that bombed harder than Hiroshima, or surprise sleepers that turned out to be better than the freshly baked bread. By having personally played vast majority of them, I thought, well, why not show the best and the worst of them? And boy oh boy, it's been quite a year already. So let's take a look at the fresh releases, updates for existing ones, and the upcoming titles in the space game genre. And yes, I'll keep on saying genre, so long as British keep ruining their own language. Hey, at least I have an excuse, I'm Latvian. Alright then, let's start with the games released this year. Starting it off with a sleeper hit, Star Trucker. I seriously had a great bit of fun in this Euro Truck Simulator copy-paste job. Oh goddammit! Ah! Careless driving, it's Euro Truck Simulator all over again! And that's what it really is in a nutshell. Is that a bad thing? Well, not at all. Good voice acting and audio design paired with simple UI that does not piss you off, and truly cathartic gameplay. Oh goddamn, what the fuck did I just run over? Was that a space cat? Like Euro Truck Simulator, it's just a great bit of fun trucking about. Frankly, my biggest problem with the game is the lack of content, and that's damning with fine praise. It does truly nothing wrong. Well, maybe with the exception of game balance, maybe, but that's about it. However, comparison being the thief of joy, Euro Truck Simulator is both larger and has more in-depth gameplay for smaller price. And so, at that point you gotta ask yourself, is the space paint job worth it? But to a certain point, Star Trucker does a few things that Euro Truck doesn't do, and that might be worth it. From cathartic straight onto psychotic and gore-tastic power fantasy, Space Marine 2 released just recently, and it's a really fun game. Picking up the pieces of my life, it all go on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah. While suffering from a typical Warhammer game curse, that is basically being as unbalanced as the typical Tumblr user, but thankfully it's in players' benefit as you can spam parry button and trivialize a lot of gameplay. Otherwise, the machine spirit communion you perform, well, hopefully not on a toilet throne of solitude with the holy sacred machine scripture, brother, is delightful as viscera and limbs keep spewing all over the place, from various sources of heresy spewing Xenos. It's beautiful power fantasy, and again, while missing variety or depth, it does very little wrong. And you know, I still want to hop on with a friend and blast some Xenos scum and intimately rearrange their intestines into a beautiful glory flower as I practice my hobby of gut bouquet making. That is to say that after hopping on one match, I just kinda want to play another one, and then another one. God damn it, once more, the architecture and visual spectacle of the game truly is magnificent. Which makes you wonder, what the fuck is wrong with games like Starfield and its disgusting art style? But, you know, we'll get to that soon. Next up, Homeworld 3, a space RTS with notable pedigree. After a literal 20-year break, the third installment has been released. There certainly was a certain expectation from fans, and developer Blackbird, after well-received Deserts of something in 2016, and to this day beloved Hard Space Shipbreaker, decided, nah, we're doing too much good stuff, it's time to shit the bed with the turbo laser. Jesus impelled Christ. What the hell happened? The story, as several Steam reviewers pointed out, is literally retarded.
As always, Imogen turns to her special lullaby.
Success. Pattern match found.
What?
How? Lullaby.
The lullaby is the key to all this. Karen just figured the 6-year-old she knew would one day grow up to be Fleet Command, and would follow in her footsteps, and also would still like that lullaby she taught her when she was a kid, and would then sing it to unlock the hyperspace repair thingy, and then track her down. Because she had faith in her when she was, like, watching Tigger. Fucking what? That's insane! This story is insane! It's a shockingly bad story. It's a kind I thought just did not exist anymore. Homeworld 3's story is like seeing a woolly mammoth in your yard, and also realizing it has leprosy. It's the worst I've seen in a mainstream game in a long time. But hey, war games.
I just can't. I'm still personally in the process of playing through the first 2 games. Again, promise me I'm gonna finish them someday. I just got a stalker to play through, goddammit. Anyways, not only the story is downright mentally deficient, but mechanics have been called barely functional or deficient, most certainly. And then no wonder when on Steam the game is barely reaching, well, actually come to think of it, not even reaching 40% right now. Honestly speaking, what a shame this game is, and that roadmap the developers put out is really doing very little to inspire any confidence, frankly speaking. I mean, for fuck's sakes, guys, is this really why you stopped developing Hard Space? Really? Come on! Speaking of RTS games, but that don't suck big donkey balls as it's squirted out of a tube onto a cold maternity ward floor, Sins of a Solar Empire 2 released to a very positive acclaim. During my Space Sim deep dives, I kept on seeing the first game pop up now and again, but since it's an RTS game, I kinda had to exclude it. Well, not today, and it's so nice to see X4 Strategies welcome a capable peer. So, if 50 bucks is burning a hole in your pocket, and you are already a patron of mine, and you need a space strategy game, well, this might be just it. Which makes it even funnier that in Steam reviews you see so many comparisons between this and Homeworld's latest bed shitting. Oh boy. Still, even on its own, the game stands firm, even if it looks like a smaller budget production with less fancy graphics or trailers or cinematics. But when it comes down to the strategies, it's all really about one thing. One thing that Homeworld truly fucked up in hard. The mechanics. And Sins 2, well, they did fans proud, so well done. Yet another year, yet more Disney crap. Star Wars, the never-ending dead horse, that on occasion does release something really nice. No, I'm not talking about the Outlaws just yet. Jedi Fallen Order, that was pretty nice. However, this year Star Wars Outlaws was released by Ubisoft. What the hell did you expect it's gonna be? Good?
No. Generic, dull, open-world Ubisoft experience. Or really lack thereof an experience.
Hell no! Well, granted, visually it is good looking and even gorgeous in places, but the gameplay, as so many people have pointed out, is just boring. In a typical Ubisoft fashion, it's a competent open world with Ubisoft iconic, boring collectathons and formulaic mission design that all blend into a grey blob. And of course, in a typical fashion, it was hyped to high hell, but all I got to say about it is just... And finally, if I could insert a little bit of my Latvian bias here. Last year, a little game, a Fallout-esque point-and-click RPG was released by my fellow countrymen, Space Wreck. I personally find it rather funny seeing Latvian names everywhere in big space stations and what else, but otherwise the game is really neat. And while this is a stylized little indie game, it's still received quite well, so go check it out. And with that out of the way, we turn our pug-like bulging eyes towards the games that released, but got something rather neat for the players to play with as an extra. Content updates, cool additions, expansions, and some other questionable choices and changes in design direction. It's time for post-release update section. Alright then, we start with our first post-release expansion for Everspace 2. Now those that don't recall, original Everspace 1 was, well, basically a Faster Than Light in 3D, meaning that it was a roguelike, but with notably less content than Faster Than Light, yet with gorgeous visuals and good gameplay, nevertheless. However, for the sequel, developer Rockfish decided to take the early access route and, unlike 90% of them, actually fully released it within 2 years. The game was a departure from roguelike into an open-world Destiny-like looter-shooter, I guess you could call it that, but the game still was really good. And to continue on the goodness train, this year the first paid expansion, Titans, released. With a couple new quests, loot and encounters, it's a solid addition to already good game. I genuinely am rooting for these guys and happy to see them continue work on the game. On the other hand, no amount of patching or fixing will unfuck the boring, incompetent slop that is Starfield. But by all means, Bethesda, give it a try. Shattered Space expansion, promised already on the launch of the game, now is scheduled to release rather soon, in fact a few days after this video goes live. We'll get new storyline, loot to loot, and yeah, that's about it. But aside from expansion, Starfield has received a few updates since launch, and while I covered most of it in my first year's retrospective, you can view here. So, let me run you down on a few things that have changed. They added the drivable space buggy, a rather positive but ultimately meaningless addition, except for the fact that now you can reach the edge of the map and bump into offensive invisible walls a lot sooner. They also added difficulty options with unbalanced bullshit for which you either lose or gain XP. Overall, it's not a bad thing, but as said, it's not exactly the most balanced thing in the world. Then there's a tracker quest, which is fine. Oh, and they finally added DLSS and upscaling features. Finally! Oh, and then there's also the local map. Yes, that's right, Bethesda finally actually got off its fucking ass and delivered something that should have been as basic as breathing. But hey, I guess like all special needs kids, they need the swift kicking in the ass by everyone on the block to realize that the basic ass feature was super necessary. Then there's the ship interior customization, which is a nice addition. And then we have New Game Plus trait respec... Oh, for fuck's sake! Okay, point being, is Starfield better now? Yes. Is it finally good? Hell no! See, the thing is, you can still play it if you for some reason manage to lobotomize yourself into liking it. Sure, I too have my guilty pleasures, but that's the thing, I don't pretend like they're good! Oh, and I also forgot one addition that I did.
So for those that aren't familiar with Creation's platform in Skyrim, what are Creations and what do our Starfield players have to look forward to?
Good question. So Creations in Skyrim are essentially where ourselves, Bethesda Game Studios, and our community add new content to the game and where players can find things to continually grow their experiences in Skyrim. We are bringing that same thing to Starfield to grow into the ever-expanding universe that is Starfield.
Now Bethesda is shoving in our faces the fucking paid mods. Yeah, how about fuck you, Bethesda? No, do not support this predatory exploitative bullshit. Next! And now for the big Space Sim Quartet games. Though, here's the thing, I'm planning to cover them in detail, so I'll briefly go over their basic accomplishments for the year. Star Citizen managed to delay the second planetary system. I guess they needed another $500 million to finalize the goddamn basic-ass planets. Elite Dangerous, after 5 years, finally releases new ships. And adds more pay-to-win and FOMO marketing to extort money out of the last goodwill players. Oh, and also Targoid motherships are being killed, which is pretty nice to look at on YouTube, because otherwise it takes boatload of grinding to get to that part in-game otherwise. Then we have X4 Foundation, which releases Timelines expansion, and it's getting more mixed reviews, but even so, the game is still seeing a steady upwards tick in players. So, good job, Egosoft. And then, like a sneaky Santa Claus, No Man's Sky drops content updates throughout the year. Most of all, the World's Part 1 update that offers a great bit of content and changes to a point that even the shitty-ass YouTube Shorts of mine started getting bizarre amount of views. What the fuck? Still, all things considered, all of these big space sim guys are trying to do something. Some better than others. Though for more information, stay tuned, cause my yearly roundup rant is coming up, so do subscribe. And maybe toss a dead horse to my Patreon, cause I need to buy coffee to stay awake while covering all of them. Oh boy. Oh gods, right, so get the tissue box and put down that lube. It's the sadness time. No, I told you to put down the tissue box, damn it! Kerbal Space Program 2. This year went through some truly distressing time. See, around May of 2024, eagle-eyed fans noticed some corporate listings and filings under Take-Two's bureaucratic bullshit. Now, to make a long story short, Take-Two, which is the parent company of Private Vision, which is the publisher of indie and smaller titles, including Kerbal, and the parent company of Intercept Games, which is the development studio of Kerbal 2, yeah, welcome to bureaucratic world of modern gaming there, folks, was going to be closed down. Mass layoffs affected not only Intercept Games, but multiple studios under Private Division, as the publisher itself was getting an axe. But none was hit as hard as Intercept Games. Effectively, every single one of the 70 developers working on Kerbal 2 were let go. Yep, all of them. Yet, Take-Two promised that, trust me bro, the game is fine, it will continue work. As the science update released, literal month before all of this went down, things looked a little bit up for the Kerbal 2 as the first of roadmap's promises was getting fulfilled. Now, 4 months later, not a single update or a bug fix, hell, not even a public statement, has been released by Take-Two, or the corporate ghost of Intercept or Private Division. On Steam, the game is still marked as early access and rightfully overwhelmingly negative. On Steam charts, the game is rock bottoming faster than Courtney Love, and fuck me, is this not a goddamn train wreck. You're depressed to see, unlike, let's say, something like Concord, where you can take at least some sort of a semblance of Schadenfreude. See, Kerbal 2 had such a great jump-off point, a successor to greatly beloved niche game with genuinely passionate fanbase, but oh no, let's just fuck about and find out. Well, the find out stage was brutal, and here we are with literal dead game and a dead studio. Alright, we need some good news, and who's better than Stellaris and its developer, publisher, Paradox Interactive? Indeed, year after year, like the DLC Stellaris keeps pumping out, it also keeps on being good. Sure, some of their attempts have been misses, but developers keep on iterating and adjusting the game as well as introducing new stuff. For this year, machine age expanding, synthetic machine empires and traits and features and blah 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 blah. Basically, I need a goddamn hour's worth of video explaining the changes and how they affect the game, and maybe at the end of it only one of you will understand what the hell am I yammering on. The point is, you can listen to most developer videos on major updates and hear them changing things thanks to player feedback. It's still impressive how keyed in the team is for the game, unafraid to change things. Well, at least most of the time. Guys, come on! Fucking armies need to go! However, this is not it. There are some upcoming titles that are worth keeping an eye on as well. Starship Simulator has been in early access development for what basically feels like eons, much like Star Citizen. And much like Star Citizen, it barely moves forward in development. Still, it's a rather interesting project that I keep an eye on from time to time. It does feel like more of a passion project for the developers than an actual job. Then no wonder that there's so much needless detail. But as a concept, it's interesting, and that's why I choose to highlight it today. Oh hey, do you like Deep Rock Galactic? And before you answer, yes you do, shut up! The game was, and still is, incredibly fun, but the developers decided that we needed more Space Dwarf twerking. Announcing Rogue Core, a roguelike version of Deep Core which is slated to release, someday. Either which way, if the quality and the tone holds up for the new game as the old one, well, all the better folks. We'll get another fun game to play with our fellow friends. You know, I was gifted Breathedge a while back, and among other games like Battletech 5, Homeworld 1 and 2, and many other ones, I haven't had the time to touch it. So imagine my surprise that this game is getting a sequel, and very soon, no less. Probably. Continuing on with space comedy, or rather ramping it up, the game is looking promising. So before it comes out, I probably should go and finish the first one. Oh god damn it, so much to play, so little time, and then I got to make shitposts in the middle of it all as well. Jumpship is another interesting co-op type game as you and your friends are basically manning a spaceship and trying to survive space combat, gathering, fixing everything, and of course each other. While I wouldn't quite call this a unique idea, Star Trek Bridge Crew probably is the best comparison you're gonna hear a lot, the game does something interesting. Well, that is, if it fulfills all of its promised gameplay parts. And while there is no release date for it announced yet, out of all the upcoming games, this one I'll keep an eye on the most. Now, speaking of Paradox Interactive from a couple of paragraphs back, they are also publishing a game called Starminer, a spaceship building space miner simulator with some combat? Well, regardless, this space sim is rather interesting looking, and they do promise Newtonian physics, or rather full Newtonian physics, so I wonder, are they really gonna go with a full infinite acceleration Newtonian physics, or like other 99% of the space sims, stick with more arcadey, limited top speed physics? Well, either which case, certainly looking forward to this one as well. You know, I never played Death Stranding. See, after watching the 11-hour cutscene movie on YouTube, I think I don't need another UPS simulator, man. Well, anyways, Alters, the rather interesting clone-based sci-fi drama surviving builder manager simulator-esque game. It rather piqued my interest. Developed and self-published by 11-bit studios, the game seems very experimental, so I'm rather interested to see how each element will flow together. So it's certainly something worth remembering. Now, you know what? I think this is the year for 4X Games, another strategy game that is slated to do what Homeworld 3 failed to do. Falling Frontier has been in development for actually quite a long time. See, I remember making similar yearly roundups years back, and this game appearing, so honestly it's nice to see that it's closing in on its full release. See, RTS games overall kinda feels like a dead genre, but when you look into space game category, well, you find quite a lot of them, and it's kinda nice to see them thriving. Though, thinking about it, why the hell does sadness fall over me right now? Oh right, Command & Conquer 4! Fuck me, what a waste. Thanks, EA! And of course, we finish off with, what else? Squadron 42, with the bombastic announcement and showcase video from the last year. 2025 is the hope and dream for the overspending hype whales of Star Citizen that this single-player space sim extravaganza will see a damn release date. But we'll see. Sure, there's no doubt that it looks really pretty, so no doubt there will be some interesting things to talk about it. But till it really releases, just like with Star Citizen itself, we just wait and see what squirts out between Roberts' cheeks. And there we go, that's the space game roundup for 2024, and a little bit beyond it. Though, in case of Star Citizen, most definitely beyond it. But setting cheap jokes aside, overall, this year has been filled with rather mixed game releases and updates. Some really pretty, some really bad games, and some really bad news. But looking forward, I certainly can say there are a few space nuggets that I wouldn't mind touching, and some that I would require a couple of meter-long poles. Regardless, let me know which ones I missed down below, and most certainly, do check out my Patreon and support this Space Latvian. I need kvass and space shashlik. Oh wait, no, actually, come to think of it, that would be making them cold. Okay, scratch that.